Hey guys, welcome back to Status Dramaticus. So today we are going to discuss about the anterior triangle of neck. So let's get started. I'll be uploading the notes of this video on my Telegram channel Status Dramaticus, link in description. So this is the outline for today's video. First we'll talk about the boundaries of anterior triangle. Then we'll go into the subdivisions like submental triangle, digastric, carotid. Then we'll go into much detail of carotid sheath, ansa cervicalis, and finally we'll talk about the muscular triangle. Timestamps will be available in the description. So let's get started. So this is the boundaries of anterior triangle. So the anterior boundary of the anterior triangle is formed by the anterior median line of the neck. The posterior boundary is formed by the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. So the anterior triangle is anterior to sternocleidomastoid muscle. Then we have the base of the triangle formed by the lower border of the body of the mandible and the line joining the angle of the mandible to the mastoid process. Okay, so this is the boundary of anterior triangle. Now for practicality purpose, we are dividing the anterior triangle into subdivisions, of which we have half of submental triangle. Submental triangle is in the midline and half of which is coming into one half of the anterior triangle of one side. Now then we have a digastric or submandibular triangle, then we have a carotid triangle and muscular triangle. So 4 subdivisions. Coming to submental triangle, it forms the upper portion of the anterior triangle on each side. Okay, and the roof is formed by the investing layer of deep cervical fascia. So the roof of all the subdivisions of the anterior triangle is formed by the investing layer of deep cervical fascia. Now coming to the boundaries of submental triangle, it is bound by the anterior belly of digastric muscle and the base is formed by the body of hyoid bone, and medially it is bound by the median fibrous raphe formed by the both the bellies of anterior digastric muscle. Okay, so the contents of this submental triangle are submental lymph nodes, then we have submental veins joining to form anterior jugular veins. Okay, now we'll talk about the digastric or the submandibular triangle. The name digastric came because it lies between two bellies of the digastric muscle, anterior belly and the posterior belly. The roof, as I told earlier, is formed by the investing layer of deep cervical fascia. The main catch in this triangle is submandibular gland lies in this triangle. This is the main fact you should remember. Now coming to the floor is formed by 3 muscles. You can remember it as a mnemonic MHC. M is middle constrictor, which forms a small part. Then we have hyoglossus muscle. Then we have mylohyoid muscle. Okay, and it is bound by anterior belly of digastric and the posterior belly of digastric, and the base is formed by the body of the mandible and the line joining the angle to the mastoid process. Okay, now coming to the contents of digastric triangle. So this is a very complex image. I'll try to simplify it. So the digastric triangle, the main content, as I told earlier, is the submandibular gland. Associated with submandibular gland is the submandibular lymph node, which is the level 1B of the cervical lymph node. Now as we saw earlier, one of the part of the floor is formed by mylohyoid muscle. So the mylohyoid muscle is supplied by the nerve to mylohyoid and the vessels also. So these two will also be the content of digastric triangle. Then we have facial artery and vein, and the facial artery is giving the branch submental artery also. And to supply the mylohyoid muscle, we have the hypoglossal nerve. And the facial artery, it originates from the external carotid artery, and a part of the internal carotid artery is also seen in the posterior part of this triangle along with internal jugular vein. Okay, so this is how you can remember this very easily. Now coming to the most important triangle in the anterior triangle is the carotid triangle. It is called so because it contains all the three carotid arteries: common carotid, internal carotid and external carotid. Okay, so the boundaries of the carotid triangle are the posterior belly of digastric muscle, then we have the sternocleidomastoid and the superior belly of homohyoid muscle. Okay, the floor of the carotid triangle is formed by four muscles. You can remember it as a mnemonic. CM is HIT, that is Chief Minister is HIT. C stands for the carotid triangle itself. M is middle constrictor muscle. H stands for hyoglossus muscle. I stands for inferior constrictor muscle, and T stands for thyrohyoid muscle. Okay, you can see all this muscle in this diagram. Now coming to the contents of carotid triangle. This also is a very complex image. I'll try to simplify it in my own schematic diagram. So first, coming to the schematic diagram, you can see, as I told earlier, carotid triangle, the name came because it contains all the three carotid arteries. So we have the common carotid, internal carotid giving no branches in the neck region and continuing as such. Then we have the external carotid giving 5 branches. First 5 branches of external carotid are given off in the neck in the carotid triangle. So 3 arteries done. Along with the internal carotid artery, we have internal jugular vein also, and in between internal carotid artery and internal jugular vein runs the vagus nerve. So the content of carotid triangle, we have 3 arteries, 1 vein and 3 nerves, 3 cranial nerves, which are 10, 11 and 12. 10 is the vagus nerve continuing downwards. 11th cranial nerve is spinal accessory. It turns laterally and supplies the sternocleidomastoid muscle. 12th cranial nerve is the hypoglossal nerve and it turns medially. Okay. Then we have the deep cervical lymph nodes, and we have a loop of nerve going downwards from the hypoglossal nerve, which is called the ansa cervicalis. So all the major contents of carotid triangle are done with this simple image. Now we'll revise it again. So the carotid triangle name comes from the 3 carotid arteries: common carotid, internal carotid and external carotid. The common carotid at the bifurcation has a dilatation called carotid body and carotid sinus. Then internal carotid, it always comes with sympathetic chain. I mentioned this earlier in my earlier videos also. And external carotid, we saw earlier, is giving rise to the 5 initial branches. Then we have 1 vein, internal jugular vein, then 3 cranial nerves, 10, 11 and 12, and 12th one is giving rise to the ansa cervicalis. Then we have deep cervical lymph node. Now the carotid arteries, internal jugular vein and the vagus nerve is bound by the carotid sheath. Okay. So these are the contents of carotid triangle. Now as I mentioned earlier, we have 5 branches of external carotid artery in the carotid triangle. So these are all the branches of the external carotid artery given by a very funny mnemonic. Some angry lady figured out postmenopausal syndrome. S stands for superior thyroid artery, A stands for ascending pharyngeal artery, L for lingual artery, F for facial artery, O for occipital artery, P for posterior auricular artery, M for maxillary artery and S for superficial temporal artery. Okay. So out of these, we have the first 5 arteries by these things. SALFO. Of this, ascending pharyngeal artery is the first branch of external carotid artery. Okay. So these are the 5 branches given off by the external carotid artery in the carotid triangle. Now coming to the carotid sheath. The carotid sheath is a fibrous sheath which contains internal carotid artery and common carotid artery, internal jugular vein, vagus nerve in between internal jugular vein and internal carotid artery, ansa cervicalis on the anterior wall, and cervical sympathetic chain posteriorly. So this is a block image, schematic image showing the carotid sheath. As you can see, ansa cervicalis is found in the anterior wall of the carotid sheath. It is bounding the internal carotid artery, common carotid artery, internal jugular vein, and in between both you can see the vagus nerve, and we have posteriorly sympathetic chain along the internal carotid artery. Okay. Now talking about what is ansa cervicalis. It is a U-shaped nerve loop embedded in the anterior wall of carotid sheath. It supplies all the infrahyoid muscles except thyrohyoid. It is supplied by nerve to thyrohyoid. Okay. So this is an image showing the origin of ansa cervicalis. It originates from the ventral rami of first, second and third cervical spinal nerves, C1, C2 and C3. Okay. Of which the superior root is formed by the C1 rami going along the hypoglossal nerve and descending downwards as descendens hypoglossi. Okay, so that is the superior root. Inferior root is formed by C2 and C3 ventral rami going down as descendens cervicalis, and these two form an loop in the inferior region. Okay. Now finally we'll talk about the muscular triangle. The roof, as I mentioned earlier, it is formed by the investing layer of deep cervical fascia. Floor and the contents are same. Contents, we can see it is the infrahyoid muscles, that gives the name muscular triangle, and deeper to the infrahyoid muscles you can see thyroid gland, trachea and esophagus. Okay. So the boundaries of the muscular triangle are the anterior midline of the neck, then superior belly of omohyoid, and the anterior part of the sternocleidomastoid, anterior border of sternocleidomastoid. Okay. Now talking about infrahyoid muscles. Infrahyoid muscles are ribbon like, so they are also called strap muscles of neck. They are 4 paired muscles and they are arranged in 2 layers, superficial and deep. Superficial layer consists of sternohyoid and omohyoid. Deeper layer consists of sternothyroid and thyrohyoid. All are supplied by the ventral rami of C1, C2 and C3 spinal nerves. So nerve to thyrohyoid is coming from the C1 ventral rami, and ansa cervicalis, as we saw earlier, is giving rise to all the 3 ventral rami. All the infrahyoid muscles depress the hyoid bone following its elevation during swallowing. So this is the action of infrahyoid muscle. It depresses the hyoid bone. In addition to the depression action, thyrohyoid also elevates the larynx when the hyoid is fixed by suprahyoid muscles. So this was all about the anterior triangle of neck. Head over to the comment section and tell me about the topic you want me to explain next. Until next time, stay sharp.